Okay, you're thinking about buying a home, but you need to factor in closing costs because they are above and beyond what your down payment is going to be. I'm going to go over what closing costs are and some ways around them in order to make buying a house as cheap as possible. All right, so when you're buying a home, typically you need at least 3.5% down, and you can take that up to whatever amount that you feel comfortable with. So a lender is going to go over those with you. Now, when it comes to closing costs, these are fees that are associated with originating the loan in order for you to close on that house. And they can consist of a few things. I'm going to go over what those things are. Now, these closing costs can vary dramatically just depending on the property themselves. They could vary on the location and the specifics of the loan, whether you're going FHA, VA, rural development, conventional. They all vary, so it's important for you to get a good faith estimate with your lender, and that's going to give you an idea as to what range you're going to be in, just so you can plan accordingly. Now, in regards to the actual loan themselves, they can accrue different fees as well. So there could be an origination fee, there could be an application fee, there could also be fees or discount points that are associated with that loan. There could also be an appraisal fee. So the bank is going to order that appraisal, and that fee is going to be associated with the closing costs as well. Typical appraisals range anywhere from $600 to $900 depending on how fast you need it, depending on the location. If they have to travel far, that's going to cost a little more, and depending on the speed of the market. So if there's a lot that are backed up, it could cost a little more in order to get yours in line there. The title search and insurance is also going to be within that subgroup of closing costs. So the title company is going to be ordering a title commitment, and they're going to be doing a bunch of research on your behalf to verify ownership of that property, which is hugely important. There could also be attorney or escrow fees. Now, in some areas, it could be either an attorney or a escrow agent that is handling the transactions. So that's going to cover the preparation of the title documents as well as the research. Recording fees are another one. Now, this is a very nominal fee. They typically charge about $7 a page down at the courthouse, but the recording of the fee, meaning that the title company is going to send that to the Yellowstone County Courthouse, and they're going to record that on a per page basis. As we get to the bottom of the list here, we could see prepaid expenses reflected on that settlement statement. So that could be prepaid interest, that could be prorated taxes, or homeowners insurance statements as well. So something like that could be on there also. And last but not least is we may see HOA fees and expenses on there as well. So for example, if the seller had paid $600 for the year for a homeowners association, but you're selling right in the mid-year, that means that 6 months of that is going to be credited back to the seller. Now, have no fear. These closing costs are going to be brought to your attention. You're going to have a full 3 days in order to review this information. So it's incredibly important to pay attention to it closely. Have your representative or myself, the realtor, look it over for you just to ensure that the costs and fees are appropriate. There are times where you can ask the seller to pay for closing costs for you. In a less than absolute hot market, it's a very common request to ask the seller to pay those closing costs in order for you to close on the home. Now, it's going to be up to the seller on whether or not they're going to be able to do that for you, or whether they decide to do that for you, but that is just part of the negotiation. Again, as a first-time home buyer or even a second or third, it's not uncommon to request those closing costs. But do keep in mind that your lender is going to give you a good faith estimate on those closing costs. Now, it's always good to undershoot that closing cost figure. And the reason being, let's use an example here. Let's just say you ask the seller for $8,000 in closing costs, but your lender can only utilize $6,000 of that. Well, that means that you're going to default that $2,000 and credit that back to the seller. We don't want to credit money back to the seller because we could have used that $2,000 leeway or that $2,000 negotiation in the purchase price rather than just giving it back because you couldn't utilize all your funds at closing. I hope that information is valuable to you. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.